be cleaned out? You mean ones where people are no longer in them, but you need their stuff in them and you got...
Some stuff still in them. Right, correct. We still have to go through and determine items, rubbish versus effects that we need for 60 days.
We took 3 tents down the other day.
And so now we have
And
another
two more people moved out.
Yeah, we have a total of 18, but we set a goal of having those all done by the 21st. Our goal right now at this point is to try to separate the shelters out a little bit more than what we are. We're so close together that people are on top of each other. It's becoming more difficult for enforcement. So we're going to separate them out a little bit and then determine from there, as we get people that come in looking for shelter, what can go back up and what not. So we have been experiencing a large volume that has left the shelter, which is left TASL, which is going to result in multiple camps popping up through town, which we are seeing and we are responding to. I know Bill and the police department were out yesterday.
I looked at 3 updates coming on Friday for evictions.
Some have moved on.
Yeah.
So everyone just, so that was the update. Everyone in the camp signed the rules. We have the privacy screen. We're working on getting that put back in place. The problem is with the weather the way it is, those screens act as a sail. So when it's windy, it picks, since the fences are temporary, they're not permanent, it picks the fences up and flies them all over the place. So we try to keep them up. The reason that we're going to try to work on monitoring that a little bit more. Having more of a permanent fence obviously would make it a little bit easier. The guards now have a camera and a printer down at the site. Dave, our day guard, is now issuing warnings. They are out patrolling. One guard's in the shack while one is out patrolling. They're a lot better about that now. It was a little different at first trying to get the new guards trained and to and to be out patrolling, so they're doing a good job. Since the last ad hoc, we've had 2 appeal hearings the mayor has held where I think 7 individuals went through there. So that process is working smoothly. We had another one today with 1 individual and 1 no-show. So that's kind of it on where we're at with TASL.
So is that a total of 7 people have appealed?
Mm-hmm. Anybody else on TASL? Questions? The wills have been phenomenal, so we're very fortunate to have our cleanup crews that we share with parks, and they actually do a lot of the brunt of the heavy lifting in terms of
That's another thing too.
cleaning.
We want to get a telephone to them guys.
Yeah, that was the other thing. So we split the wills with the Parks Department, and I know the police departments use them on occasion if they see a shopping cart. I think a couple of officers, but they're really good for us because they're like our quick go-to crew for picking those things up. So I brought up the fact that it would be nice if we could get them a phone and have.
I think we have an extra phone already in the Parks Department that we keep for our weekend maintenance.
They initially started, and I don't know
It's their
what
personal.
happened, but now they're using their personal phone.
I'll find out about
But
that.
we figured it would be nice to do more of a coordinated effort so that all of the police might know that, hey, during the day, give the wills a call, and they can pick up shopping carts as you recognize that they're out and about, or if someone's dumped something on the side of a road.
So if you get that, certainly let us know. We'll make sure our entire staff knows, because as it stands, there just was a few officers that developed that relationship and had that number, but not our entire staff.
Yes, and I think that might not be a bad, because we really utilize the wills. I don't know what we do without them.
It just depends on what they're Oh, they won't get to it.
Well, but I mean, if we can leave a message and, hey, there's carts at the corner of whatever,
Yeah.
and then you can eventually get there.
I'll work on the phone number and I'll make sure to get that out to everybody.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah.
You notice we've had a couple people pop up at front of City Hall, so I don't know who it is. We haven't identified who they are yet, and whether or not they've been removed from TASL or not, but we'll try to follow up and see if we can get some more information on that.
So we had some, I guess, being that we're on that, we had some discussion this morning with respect to some challenges that Judge Sullivan has had with the courts, and then we have had some challenges with the finance department and some of the excessive numbers. So do you want to share anything more?
I'm not going to share anything in front of the members of the public.
Okay. So
Because those are
that
legal
has been-
opinions that need to be in an executive session.
So that is something that we've had some discussion with, and there needs to be further discussion on that, because as it stands now, that is an acceptable legal area for them to go.
And we have been handing out the map too, as we've been trying to clear up the camps that we've noticed pop up. We do hand out the map of the places that were identified for them to go on the sidewalk, so.
And we provided that on a few occasions for individuals in the police department.
So just to clarify that, especially with the camper in the front of the building, if there's a space in there and they're not kicked out, then why are
Right now, we don't have any openings.
okay? Okay.
Until, that was the goal we set, is right now the tents that are up are empty. And so we've given ourselves till the 21st to get those 18 tents cleaned out and down so we can clean them out and get them sanitized, get tents separated to figure out what space we have left before we
Yeah.
put anything back. But that's why we're doing it, is we just don't know what that's gonna look like yet.
We want to spread out what's in here a little bit.
Yeah, it's just becoming really hard for enforcement when they're so close together. Plus, when you get people living on top of each other, you know, it becomes more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, just as you said, we can't all get along with our neighbors. So.
Right, exactly. In a perfect world, but it doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
So that's why. So yes, we recognize that, and we do want to get that, you know, get people in that have maybe not been a part of TASL and want to become part of TASL. We'd like to get them back in, but we just don't know, again, until we get that remapped out, what it's going to look like.
But along the same lines, and the worst case scenario, if you will, those who've been kicked out of TASL, I think that still is a challenge, because we can't then boot them out of the facility. You still have to try to manage that. And so, the question, of course, is what if the individual was an individual that had been, removed from TASL. So.
Okay. I don't have anything. Well, I can say that, in case you haven't noticed, it's pretty obvious that the camp is probably going to look so good. It's cleaner than I can remember. The bicycles are gone.
It's getting better.
The aisles are cleaned up, and the spaces behind the tents are cleaned up. So you can clearly see a lot's been done.
The ones that you still see that have accumulation of stuff, material and possessions, those are some of the ones we still have to clean out. So there are some, and we are, like I said, we're trying to give ourselves that goal in 2 weeks, but it's really hard with the weather that we have. And we don't, again, because the wheels are throughout the town, we don't have them all the time. So it's not something we can, just go and crank them all out.
One other observation, some of these folks that are in this camp, I can't say all of them, I don't know. Some that I've met here personally lately, for whatever the reason, they just, we can sit here and talk about the rules and what they need to do, and they can go over them, and yep, I can do that, yep, I can do that. And no sooner than you turn around, they can break a rule. Then it's not because they're being mean or anything like that. It's because, well, in some cases, they forgot what they were just talking about. In some cases, they just don't understand, they just don't get it. It just doesn't comprehend that, how serious the issue is. So, it's a real eye-opener, what it is.
We are dealing with a very diverse group of people, and
It's not a one-size-fits-all
No.
solution, and people make different things.
no, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of mental illness as well, and it's very challenging. And so I think the city's done a tremendous job stepping up with literally no experience in this ball game.
I think the importance of this committee, keeping in mind that as we move forward and find a location to continue on with this like this, we're going to definitely need to have, whatever you want to call it, a camp host, somebody that's in charge. Because this is a real burden on city staff. You cannot believe it, how big a burden it is. Everybody's budgets are paying for its little pieces here and there of this thing. So if it's going to continue on, it's going to have to really be step up and have a camp host that's going to manage the whole thing.
Yes.
Relief. I mean, there'll be staff that'll always be in the loop making decisions, but the responsibility that's on some staff's shoulders now, it just needs to be dealt with.
We decide if we're putting it back out, or are we waiting to see what happens, what goes forward?
And that brings us, so Council President Shaw's done a great job of trying to get us to a point where the city council can make a determination of what that next step is. But I just want to reiterate again, we're down to now 3 council meetings before that. And so, obviously, I mean, I don't know, I'm doubtful that anything will be on this next week's agenda, since it's due tomorrow. So that leaves us 2 council meetings to figure out what that next step is, and which is, I see it as 3 choices. I don't know, maybe but you close it down, you need to either that extend the temporary use permit.
And we just have one more time
Or-
if we do that, right? Like,
Well,
it
no,
just goes
you-
till June and then that's it.
You could go
right?
till July. You have a
Right.
year that you can do it in a location.
But like say it goes to July, then that's it, yeah.
Yeah, or
Then we have 2 choices.
or 3, which is somewhere else.
But in July, we couldn't extend it any further.
No.
So we either close it down or move on.
Yeah. But and so really 2 meetings to kind of figure that out, and you know, it's hard to make plans for the future, such as looking at a camp host or anything, because not
we have
knowing
a
what it's going to
plan.
look like.
Right.
Finding somebody to even take it from March to July would be very difficult. And our our TASL members know that the 15th, and that they're not sure what's going to happen either. So there's some uncertainty, and there's been, it's easy to kick the can down the road, and unfortunately we're getting to the end of that road, and that doesn't matter with the tempers and and the tension that everybody's been feeling lately. So
Deanne's been working real hard to
yeah.
have a presentation to the county to get them on board financially. And I've been trying to organize get together with the mayors throughout the county for the same reason. And that's interesting to try to do. Well, I can meet on this date, but I can't meet on that date. This one can meet on that date, but can't meet on this date. So we've been going around a little bit, so I'm trying to figure out a different way to head that up. Maybe just phone talk, one at a time or something. It'd be awesome if we would all sit at a table together, because I think it'd have quite an effect to get what we want out of all the other cities in the county. And I think they should all step up.
Well, yes, but we can't wait for that. Like, we still have to move forward with what we have.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
just reporting
Yes.
on.
I agree that the county should be involved in other cities in the county, but that can't stop us from moving forward, so.
So I guess I'm done unless you guys have any questions from staff. And you guys can take it.
So did you already talk about number 3, is that the 3 choices?
Yeah. Well, it's just that we have the 3 meetings left and 3 next week to have a decision one way or another. Otherwise, because we, if we're not going past the 15th, we need to be prepared to start that process too.
Okay, so nothing else?
Nope,
I
not,
never want to have another meeting.
We have a calendar.
what are you thinking? What else can we bring back, I guess? Is there something that information we haven't provided yet or that you would like from us to have?
You guys are doing a great job. I think we just need to pull our heads out of our ass and try to figure something out. So you guys are doing great. I mean,
But if we can.
we just need to start either making some tough decisions, and they're not going to be pretty, and nobody's going to like them. I mean, that's just the way it is. So,
But if there is anything you need from us to help make that decision, let us know where we can get that for you. I know this is a challenging time, so.
Well, we met with the whole. Nobody gave the council wanted this committee to go, or held.
well, I think this committee needs to make recommendations
Well,
to the council.
But,
So.
I mean.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it's time that one of us takes the bull by the horns. And I think since this committee's been created and we've been the one doing the research and doing all this, we need to take the bull by the horns and make a recommendation to council that after everything is said and done, this is what we feel is, it's going to be what I call the best of the worst case scenario. There is no good solution.
Yeah.
If there was a perfect solution, we would all be millionaires and sitting in a big old house on a hill somewhere because we would have solved a world crisis.
No big house, I don't want to clean.
I don't want to go there now. Small house on a hill somewhere.
They'll have it made.
You're right, we'll have a maid, that's because we'll be rich, so we will have figured this out. But I think it's up to, much like other committees, they make recommendations, I think it's up to this committee to figure out what we really want to do and what we need to propose to the council, and we can go from there, so.
So building off of that, I'm just going to say, I think we need to decide whether this committee meeting is open to the public or not, because I have some questions that I needed to ask of our city attorney tonight, and I don't know that those are things that we're free to discuss if these meetings are open. And it's, I don't feel, one of the reasons we created the ad hoc committee was so that we had the freedom to discuss some very sensitive liability matters with staff and our attorney, and I don't feel like, I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I'm First Amendment all the way. I spent, 20 years as a journalist, but I also now, as a council person, have a fiduciary responsibility to remember the city's liability, and there's some things that I need to get the right words and advice from before I'm comfortable saying them. I'm sorry, I don't want to be the bad guy, but these are sensitive matters, and it's important that we are well-grounded in our legal obligations before I start running off on some of my ideas. So that's my 2 cents for tonight. And so it's going to be slow going if I'm being live streamed.
Yep.
I just heard tonight that on on B Street where the New Beginnings Church is. They got, I guess, got a pretty good sized piece of property and a couple of buildings. I don't know, I'm just throwing this out because I just heard that they.
Well, you did just throw it out. It's all not being live streamed
Well,
now, Pete.
it's no big
Better make
deal.
sure you get your facts straight.
Is that the church that's been on B Street?
Yeah. I mean, it's
In a
got-
residential area?
It's got buildings. Well, I think it's right across the street from the thrift store.
Oh,
I don't know. I just,
the
it's
only-
got buildings.
The only property that I can think of would be behind the church, which is on Second and C Street, which is exactly just below where campers on city property. And everybody, is complaining about the campers being up there and the crime and everything that's been going on, the vehicle prowls and stuff like that, so.
Well, it's
yeah.
like Karen said,
It's good,
it's
yeah.
not gonna be different anywhere.
But that's also a grass area, so, which is not very and then in this type of weather, with people walking around it and everything, it's gonna become a muddy mess.
I don't know how big the buildings are.
Well, the only building I'm aware of is the church.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, behind it, the rest of that property, I don't know if,
There's any other buildings?
yeah.
I don't know. I just threw that out
Yeah.
because we gotta get thinking of something.
I would ask a question kind of in general about the used in analyzing choices. I haven't heard any discussion about that criteria, whether that's something that seems to be what you're still interested in or not, or if you're looking at ending that. And I think that the staff conversation that happened as those properties were kind
Having any objections to the benchmarks, and we shared it with the full council. They've, those are, and
it's
those are
certainly
the
been out in public,
criteria that as ideas come up that we're measuring, so. And that's as I understood it, we developed those criteria based on what other communities have done and used the lessons they learned. So I didn't have any feedback on the criteria.
I agree. I do too. Looks good. Still good, still okay with it. Good then, good now. That's when you want to include.
Okay. Anything else?
How are police calls going?
The next meeting,
I think, I'm sorry, but the problematic individuals, that's when they started to leave. I'm pretty confident our costs started to reduce.
Right.
Because a number of them were challenges.
Yes.
So,
Cool. Sorry, please.
So, what's a good time to turn around? What do you guys think?
well, the 19th is Wednesday night, that's not a council meeting.
Yeah, not that it matters, but I'm out. I would also remind members, the elected officials, that the Open Public Meetings Act applies to meetings, but the criteria for the meetings is that an advisory committee or an ad hoc committee such as this is not subject to the Open Public Meetings Act and availability to the public.
I'm just going to put this out there, that it would be advantageous to have the choice of government.
Yes, I would agree.
So I think we need to work on our.
This is one.
How are you with everything?
I
Do you want to
like
look at your schedule?
Yeah, I would be happy to send that to the.
You think next week's too soon?
Next week is the city
Next week
council.
is city
I would
council
rather-
meeting.
We can have that.
I will make myself available before February. I could do something on the 18th, but I could do something on the 18th.
But do you
I
want to look
fly
at your
on the
schedule
19th.
first and let us
No,
know?
I
You're good?
fly on the 19th. Thursday the 13th.
Can you do the 13th?
Why don't you share with us?
So
All right.
no matter what date,
It'll be before, probably after the next city council meeting, but before the one after that.
So this is not an open public meeting?
It is not, this meeting is not subject to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act.
Okay, so just inform me. All right, so anything else?